chop block. Giant on the 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 chop block. Yeah! Yeah! And there you go, guys. That's how it goes. That is that Berkley Chop Block. It is a soft glide, and one of the key features of this thing, besides the action, look at the hooks. Guys, a special harness that has a main treble that breaks away from the body, and it has a stinger. Look how that fish ate it. Main hook in the mouth, stinger in the mouth. If you're having problems hooking glide bait fish, try it. It's soft, it collapses, it's power bait, and it catches big ones! Hey Tackle Warehouse fans, I want to introduce you to the brand new Berkley PowerBait Chop Block. This is a wide-bodied glide bait that is soft. It's power bait, and what that means is scent, but collapsibility of the bait. You add that to the fact that it's got a paintbrush tail, mesh joint, innovative hook and trailer system, and it chops and walks right out of the pack. If you're looking for a glide bait that's inexpensive but easy to use and catches giants, the Chop Block is it. This is a soft glide bait, and that's a big factor for me when fish bite the bait and when you're throwing this bait around cover, okay? Traditional glide baits, when you're talking about big wide-bodied glide baits, they're hard, they're plastic, they're resin, they're wood. You can only get so much movement out of that joint, right? It's a hard bait. But the Chop Block is soft. It's power bait. And when that fish bites, that bait can collapse totally in the fish's mouth. You add to the fact that it's power bait and they have scent and taste, dude, they don't let go. The other great thing about a soft glide bait versus a hard glide bait is the castability and skipability of that bait. Traditional hard-bodied resin, wood, or plastic baits weigh 4, 5, 6 ounces. They're hard to cast, you have to lob them, and they do not skip. But because the Chop Block is soft plastic, it's lighter, and because of that flexibility, I can skip it, pitch it, flip it. It has great castability, okay? Next thing on the Chop Block is the action. And if you were a fan of the Berkley PowerBait Nessie, it has a similar action, but a much wider, pronounced chop. And the way it happens is real easy to see it. If you look at the body of that bait, the tail section behind the joint is wider than the joint in the front. So when water catches that wide joint, it wants to turn it, and when it reaches a point, water catches it again, and it'll turn. It'll keep turning. So simply reeling this bait, you're gonna get a very nice, wide S-ing motion with this Chop Block. Now, when you throw twitches into it, that's gonna get even wider. And if you throw a twitch and a pause, you could get this Chop Block to turn around 180 or even 360. Really, really unique action and easy to make it happen, right? A lot of those big glide baits, resin baits, hard to work. Focusing in on that joint, guys. You see that joint is the key of the action, but we have almost a surgical style mesh between the joints. And that's there not only to help it hinge and flex, but it's there so it won't rip. All right, now guys, I want to focus on the hook, and it's one of the things on the Chop Block that makes me the most excited. This unique hook system that we created to not only get the head strikers, but to also catch those nippers or tail strikers, right? And it does happen on a glide bait. You'll have fish that follow it and that don't wholeheartedly eat it from the head, and just kind of swipe at it. Now we've got a stinger system for that, and I want to show it to you. So if you look, I'll pop this out. It's a harness style hook system, and we've got a bearing swivel attached to a 3-pronged fusion treble hook, and then we have a little lead of stinger rope, and then there's our patented 2-hooked frog style stinger. So we've got a little C-clip on the bottom. So that pops in, you hear the snap. You bury the one prong of the treble into the body. So that's gonna keep it tight. And then last but not least, this amazing little stinger, we have a specially designed keeper for it. It goes into a slot and then magnetizes to the tail, okay? So we've got this hook system that you're gonna catch them when they head strike it. Now you're gonna sting them when they tail strike it. But here's the beauty of this hook system, guys. It stays put when you're casting and fishing the bait, but the moment that fish bites and hooks, pulls out of the body, getting the weight of the chop block away from the hook. Super, super unique, super special. Most of those hard resin glide baits that weigh 3-4 ounces, guys, when that fish comes up and shakes, he's throwing it. It's all the weight attached to those hooks. Now we're getting the bait away from the hook. We're landing those hard jumping, hard fighting fish. Really, really unique system on this chop block to catch even the short striking fish. Next feature on this chop block, oversized eyes. I'm a huge believer in oversized eyes on these soft swim baits. It really does almost provide a bullseye for the headshot. If a bass is following that chop block and that bait turns around and looks at the fish with those big eyes, that fish can't help himself. All right, guys, we're gonna keep going to the back, and I'm a big believer in this, and that is a paintbrush tail. If you're already a hardcore swim bait angler, you know this is kind of a qualifier for the swim bait to be the real deal, right? And the paintbrush tail not only provides the look of a bait fish or shad or bluegill, but it provides a little bit of texture as well. So that fish eats it, it collapses in his mouth, he tastes the power bait, and then he feels a little bit of that rough tail in his mouth, just like a real bait fish, right? So really unique system to keep that in there, just like the joint, that thing's not popping out. Guys, you talk about sizes and colors. With this brand new Berkley PowerBait Chop Block, we really tried to cover the range of that match the hatch style forage, right? And I'm always thinking about what that with these things. So 3 sizes. Of course, we've got the little guy right here, which is the 6-inch chop block, and perfect size, guys, for when those fish are on a little bit smaller bait. Threadfin shad, smaller alewife herring, small minnows, chubs, dace, young of the year bluegill, young of the year crappie, right? That 6-inch is a perfect size. A little bit easier to consume for the bass. If you have smaller fish or smallmouths or spots, it's also a great size. All right, the next size, guys, this is the middle size. This is one of my favorites because of the versatility, and this is the 8-inch chop block. The 8-inch is a great match when you're talking about bigger forage, right? If you're talking about gizzard shad, if you're out on the West Coast and you're talking about hitch, if you're down in the South and you're talking about tilapia, you know, when those fish get into that medium adult size, that 8-inch is perfect. Great size forage match, great profile. Last but not least, and this one for newcomers to glide bait fishing seems like a lot, but it is definitely not. And this is the 10-inch chop block. And the thing about the 10-inch is it has tremendous drawing power. Even in a place that has medium to small size forage, a big glide bait will draw the fish to it. It has drawing power. If you're in a fishery with extra large bait, adult bluegill, giant crappie, you know, trout, when those forage is really, really big, the 10-inch is the go-to size. The last thing, kind of the nail in the coffin to get these fish to commit is the color, right? And we've really created a system where these are custom painted colors to match your forage in your fishery. So 14 colors, including 2 Tackle Warehouse exclusives to really dial in on whatever you're trying to imitate. From bluegill to rock bass, guys, we've got a color to fit your forage. Beautiful scale detail, beautiful dark to light patterns on this bait. And this is really the last thing to make these fish engulf it. I haven't been this excited about a soft glide bait since the Nessie. Wider profile, easy swimming, all those other things I mentioned. This is gonna be a must-have in your arsenal. Sprinkle into the mix that these baits are a fraction of the price of your resin, hard plastic baits. A fraction of the price. This one makes it easy to buy, fish, and catch big bass. All right, when it comes to fishing the brand new Berkley PowerBait Chop Block, the great thing about it is it's super easy to fish. You know, when you talk about glide bait fishing, a lot of them are tricky. With the Chop Block, you can pretty much fish it right out of the pack. One is with the reel, one is with the rod, and then when you start to get really proficient at it, you can combine the two and make the ultimate movement with the bait. Remember, the thing about that Chop Block is the action. So we want to make this thing look real. So let's start with just reeling the bait. I'm basically going to fish it just like I would a spinner bait, a chatter bait, a worm, anything else. I'm going to cast it in and around the cover, and we can just simply use the reel and reel the bait, and you're going to see that side to side S motion, okay? Remember, this bait has an oversized joint in the back. And because of that, by simply reeling, we're going to create that slithering S motion, okay? Basically, we can change the action. We can change that S from a tight S to a wide S simply by the speed of our retrieve, okay? So when I want to make this Chop Block do a wider S-ing motion, I just do a slow to medium retrieve. And when I do that, you're going to see that bait lazily swimming with a little bit bigger S. I typically do that in stained water, in cooler water, post-frontal. I want to slow it down. But the opposite is true if I want to get a tighter S motion. I'm going to make that cast, and instead of slow, methodical, now I'm going to speed up my retrieve. And when I speed up my retrieve, if you look at the S motion on that bait, it tightens it up. A fast retrieve will make it S tight, almost more in place. Conditions for that to me would be pre-frontal, fish that are active, crystal clear water. In clear water, I like to tighten up that vibration. And then, you know, last but not least, whenever those fish are feeding near the surface, I can actually get this thing to wake right under the top, okay? So slow retrieve, steady retrieve, getting that bait to do that more wider, methodical S-ing, or rod tip up, speed the retrieve up, tighten up that S, and I can actually get this bait to wake. Super, super easy. Don't need specialized tackle, none of that stuff. All right, let's get into the second motion, which is using your rod and reel to activate the bait, right? And it's called a chop block. So one of the best ways to activate this bait is chopping it, is actually using your rod to chop. So the nice thing about the chopping motion is when I chop this bait, I can let the bait stay in place. That's a big deal. When you're talking about fishing isolated pieces of cover, right here we have some limbs, laydowns. It could be a dock, it could be a log, it could be a brush pile, it could be a boulder on a flat. When I use the chopping motion with my rod, I'm getting that bait to shoot side to side, but stay in place. It's really, really awesome to be able to leave that bait in place, okay? So a lot of traditional glide baits, it's hard to keep them still. Even when you chop, they wanna get out of the strike zone. With the Berkley PowerBait Chop Block, I throw toward the cover, I use this chopping motion, and the bait stays right near the cover. All right, this chopping motion I'm talking about, if you fish a jerk bait, if you fish a walking bait like a Zara spook or something that walks, it's a lot of that same motion. So, you know, I would basically say what I'm doing is I'm leaving my rod tip lower and I'm hitting it from you know, out here to my side, but then I'm allowing slack to enter that chop, okay? And so when I chop, I throw slack, and then I reel up my slack and I chop again. Chop, reel in my slack, chop again. And by doing that, I'm going to get that really, really nice chopping motion that is even wider than an S. Really sets it left, right, and leaves it in place. All right, guys, now the ultimate system for this chop block, and this is the one I use a lot, is combining those two methods. So we're going to combine the reeling technique with the chopping technique, and we're going to throw in a move that will force these fish to bite, okay? Force these fish to bite. And on a glide bait, especially one with oversized eyes, when that bait turns around and looks at a fish that's following, it is the switch that makes that fish bite. So this third technique, we're going to combine them both, and we're going to make that cast by that cover. We're going to use some reeling up until we get to where we believe that fish is. Then we're going to start chopping. We're going to start using that chopping motion. And then either if I see one following it, or if I think one is in the area, I'm going to chop and bow to the bait. I'm going to chop and bow to the bait. When I do that, I throw a tremendous amount of slack into the line, and that makes that bait 180. So a lot of cool different ways to fish this bait, and techniques that do not require anything special. Real easy to use, out of the pack, glide bait fishing to make those fish strike. And last but not least, guys, when you get bit with a chop block, it's typically a bigger fish. All right, guys, when it comes to the gear, rods, reel, and line for throwing that brand new Berkley PowerBait chop block, I've got really good news for you. You don't need specialized gear. You can use the stuff you already have. Let's start with the small one. There's that little 6-inch chop block. And honestly, guys, this fishes more like a jerk bait than it does a glide bait. It fishes more like a chatterbait or a spinner bait. So for that small size, I basically use a 7 to 7.2 medium heavy rod. You don't need any kind of specialized rod. So really a rod that you already have that you would use for, let's say, a spinner bait or a chatterbait or a regular small boot tail swim bait. Same exact rod, okay? On reel, you know, I'm a big fan of what I call a middle of the road gear ratio, okay? So something that would be like 7-to-1 to 8-to-1 is perfect for these baits. And then last but not least, you know, line is interesting on these baits, and you could throw all 3 line types. For sure, if you want to keep this bait high, mono is a great choice. And for the small size, you know, that 14 to 17 pound mono is perfect. If you're fishing around really, really heavy cover, braid is a great choice for the chop block. I'd go with a little bit lighter braid on that small side. Let's call it 20 to 40 pound super line, 30 pound is perfect. And last but not least, my favorite line type for all these chop blocks is straight fluorocarbon. And I like fluorocarbon because it gives that bait a little better action, right? Fluorocarbon's heavy, it's dense. 15 to 20 pound fluorocarbon, 17 is a great size, is perfect for this bait. All right, let's go up to that middle-sized chop block, and that's the 8-inch. You know, you gotta, again, recognize that an 8-inch resin or plastic or wood bait, dude, that thing's gonna weigh 4, 5, 6, 7 ounces. It's heavy. But the 8-inch chop block, it's relatively light because it's soft plastic. And because of that, no specialized rod or reel, guys. The exact same rods and reels you have. But now, I'm gonna go up a little bit. I prefer a 7.4 to 7.6 medium heavy rod. So that is the same kind of rod you're already using for, let's say, flipping or Carolina rigging, right? 7.4, 7.6 medium heavy is perfect for that 8-inch. Reel, same thing, guys. Something with a middle of the road gear ratio, 7-to-1 to 8-to-1, a reel in that range is perfect. This is that brand new Abu Garcia Beast reel. It's It's got the oversized knobs. It's got great gearing to really be methodical with this swim bait. So middle of the road gear ratio on the bait caster, and same thing with line, guys. As you step up in size of the chop block, just step up a little bit in line size. So, you know, mono, braid, or fluoro, go up a one size in each of those. So, you know, 17, 20, 25 pound fluoro is perfect for that chop block. All right, guys, one other quick tip on that brand new Berkley PowerBait chop block is the ability to weight this bait to get it deeper. You know, on traditional glide baits, whether it's resin or plastic or wood, it's really hard to weight them. But remember, because the chop block is soft plastic, it's PowerBait. Because of that, guys, we can use nail weights to get this thing deeper. So basically I'm using 16th to 8th ounce traditional tungsten nail weights, and I'm going to add them to the belly section between the front hook hanger and the C-clip to get however much depth I want, right? Typically I'm adding 1 or 2 weights to change that thing from an ultra slow sink to a more rapid sinking bait. So deeper water, bluffs, deeper docks, when fish are on deeper humps, when I want to get this bait low, I just add nail weights. And basically you're just putting it in the body. It's kind of what it looks, going halfway in, and it's just PowerBait, it's soft plastic. So I can push that nail all the way in. Now that's in, that's an 1/8 ounce nail weight. I reattach my unique hook system here. You're gonna hear it click. There's the click. There's my stinger. I'm gonna go in the little tail section, and then the magnet locks it in, and I'm ready to go. Now I've changed that bait from an ultra slow sink to a moderately slow sink. Keep adding nail weights, I can keep getting it deeper. So the ability to modify on the fly, another cool thing about the Berkley PowerBait chop block. All right, last but not least, guys, the big one, the big boy of the family. This is the 10-inch chop block. But just because it's big, you don't need to buy any kind of specialized rods and reels. Use what you already have. And now, because we're getting bigger with the bait, I'm gonna get bigger with the rod. So now 7.6 to 8 foot, but now I'm gonna go to a heavy action rod. You already have this rod, guys. So now this is like your punching rod. This is your heavy flipping rod. This is the rod you're throwing a flutter spoon with. You know, this is the rod you already have to throw bigger, heavier lures. 7.6 to 8 foot heavy action rod. This one is the 8 foot Abu Garcia Beast. This is a brand new rod, really kind of designed especially for these baits. And once again, I've paired it with that Abu Garcia Beast reel in a little bit bigger size, oversized knobs, middle of the road gear ratio. Again, perfect for these baits. Last but not least, a touch on the line. Mono, braid, fluorocarbon, they're all fine, but now we're definitely going to get to the heavier end of that spectrum. In fluorocarbon, it's my favorite. Now I'm going 20, 25, and 30 pound fluorocarbon, especially if you get around really big fish or extremely heavy cover. This bait works great on a traditional clinch knot, on a traditional polymer, works great on a snap, but without a doubt, my favorite knot to use on any of those line types is a loop knot. When you use a loop knot on these soft glide baits like this, it's going to give it just a little bit more action, a little bit more side to side. All right, guys, that is the brand new Berkley PowerBait chop block. I'm excited about this bait. I can't wait for you to give it a try. For a soft glide bait, it is top notch. You're talking about a bait that's affordable, a bait that has amazing action, that's easy to use, collapsible, single joint, scent, paintbrush tail, and of course that unique stinger system. This is going to make even non-glide bait fishermen glide bait fishermen. And remember, when you talk about the hottest trends in the industry, minnow and glide baits. Try this Berkley PowerBait chop block and you will probably catch the biggest bass of your entire life.